Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I am Travis Chase with the Monday, July 23 edition of the HGP Nightly News. Here's what you need to know this evening. Although President Granger has opted to lead the talks on behalf of the government with the leader of the opposition, the government is making it clear that the move was not meant to diminish the authority of Prime Minister Moses Nagamootoo, who formally led those talks, but more so to accommodate the PPPC so that orderly dialogue can take place. Kristen Macklingam opens her broadcast with this story.
Social cohesion is an important concept embraced by the coalition government and a major pillar in the governance structure in Guyana. That's why President Granger decided that he would lead the government's team in dialogue with opposition leader Bara Jagdeo, since the opposition has always cried out that it was unwilling to engage in talks if Prime Minister Nagamootoo was running the show on the administration side, a role that the Prime Minister of the country should be executing, says State Minister Joseph Harmon.
He is the Prime Minister. And as the Prime Minister is responsible for parliamentary affairs and governance issues. And the fact of the matter is that the President wanted the process to go forward. So that if in fact the opposition was making a major meal out of the fact that the Prime Minister was leading the government's team, the President said, okay, I will lead it so that we can move the process forward.
According to Minister Harmon, on many occasions, the opposition party cited that it has issues with Prime Minister Nagamootoo chairing such meetings. And in order to increase the possibility of collaboration between the government and the opposition party, President Granger decided that he would lead these talks.
We do not want to have any hindrances, any obstacles that they create to say, well, look, this is why we're not meeting or that is why we're not meeting. So he said, okay, if that is an issue, I will lead the team and we will get the matter started.
The State Minister reiterated that Mr. Nagamootoo is the Prime Minister of the entire country and not just another Minister of Government. His role and responsibilities should be acknowledged and accepted by all, regardless of personal feelings one may have, he added.
The opposition, as you know, they have always tried to disrespect our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister, of course, has actually treated that with dignity and aplomb in the way he executes the functions of his office. But they have actually said some very terrible things sometimes about our Prime Minister in the National Assembly, but you've been there, the press have always been there, and you've heard the exchanges. But I think that our Prime Minister is doing an excellent job as Prime Minister, and the assignments which have been assigned to the Prime Minister, I think he's carried out them with efficiency.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Thank you, Kristen. The wheel of justice is grinding slowly, and those who work at the Guyana Gold Board must remain under intense scrutiny. That's the view of Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman as the Special Organized Crime Unit investigates a number of fraud and forgery-related cases at the Guyana Gold Board. Here are the details. Several high-level cases which involves former staff of the Guyana Gold Board have been referred to the Special Organized Crime Unit for investigation. Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman was asked on Friday to comment on the glaring headlines which show staff of the Guyana Gold Board implicated in corrupt practices. Trotman is of the view that the wheel of justice is grinding slowly. How much of this is a concern to you? I mean, there has been an audit into the Gold Board.
That's right. Well, we're not an investigative agency. Once we get a sense that something is amiss, we refer to the police. In this case, we've referred a number of matters to SOCO. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but we believe finally. So SOCO is now coming around to issuing some charges.
Just last week, the Special Organized Crime Unit, as part of that investigation Minister Trotman spoke of, unearthed fraud-related activities and even theft at the Guyana Gold Board. Former accountant Roshana Ramnarine, who was sent home in 2017 to facilitate a probe, was charged and placed before the courts. She was slapped with 6 charges, all of which allege that she stole millions of dollars and engaged in fraudulent activities during her tenure at the Guyana Gold Board. She was released on $300,000 bail. Workers of the GGB must remain under intense scrutiny, says Minister Trotman.
It is a matter of serious concern because once you're dealing with the wealth of the nation, we have to ensure that there's integrity, that there's trust. And so the workers here must always be under scrutiny and understand that we will not countenance anything that is amiss or illegal. And so we take no pleasure in prosecuting anyone. At the same time, we will not countenance or be accommodating of illegality.
Trotman said Suku was called in on several occasions at the Guyana Gold Board, and those files are still with them. Nightly News was told that 2 other former staff of the Guyana Gold Board will appear in court shortly. So how many matters can you say offhand have been referred to Suku from the Gold Board?
We've had a number of complaints and matters raised at Suku, but it is for them to determine how many matters, if any at all, will come out of that process. But it is an ongoing concern, and we have to remain eternally vigilant.
Nightly News has been reliably informed that the Special Organized Crime Unit is investigating more than 20 matters of falsification of documents and forgery coming out of the Guyana Gold Board. These are matters not contained in the forensic audit. More than $20 million so far is yet to be accounted for as Suku remains on the prowl. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. After the break, policemen accused of beating man inside illegal strip club says they thought he was a snitch to their operation, and GCOM wants more money to conduct the local government polls. Government's cup not filled and running over, says the finance minister. Stay with us. Watching the HGP Nightly News. Welcome back. To ensure acceptable levels of mercury at the offices of the Guyana Gold Board, the board has taken another step to ensure safe burning practices. General Manager of the Guyana Gold Board explains in this story. Until this new mercury control apparatus is fully tested by the Guyana Gold Board, the Guyana Gold Board will not be purchasing sponged gold. This disclosure was made by General Manager of the Guyana Gold Board Friday morning.
I've issued notice in the newspapers and on the electronic media to say we're only purchasing smelted gold because the system is not fully tested and they're still working on that.
The equipment is valued at more than $18 million. It has a 3-tiered process that breaks down mercury emission. The contract explained that the mercury will first pass through a condensation unit, then scrubbed through another system before being cooled and passed through an activated carbon checkpoint, then be released into the atmosphere. Thompson emphasized that the Guyana Gold Board does not use mercury, but merely burns the gold that is sold by miners, and that unlike smelted gold, sponged gold is usually laced with mercury.
Smelted gold, the mercury has been burnt out of that, yes. So we burn it. Why we burn it is to ensure that it is gold. There is nothing there inside. We don't know. We will not take chances with the government resources. So when the gold comes in, we have to burn it back to ensure that we have gold there. However, that's not laced with mercury.
Gabriel Lal is chairman of the Guyana Gold Board. He said that while the GGB recently refused to accept sponged gold from miners, the GGB will ensure burning practices are safe and healthy for the surrounding environment.
That the minister has authorized us to spare no effort, to spare no expense to make sure not only we overcompensate, but that we make sure that this thing is safe and healthy for everybody that comes in, community, the public, the staff. And we take that very seriously, and that is why we've turned away customers this morning. We didn't want to do that, but we've turned them away because we want to be absolutely sure that we have this thing at zero or as nearest to zero as possible.
In essence, miners who use mercury in their operations will soon have to be issued with permits annually to burn gold by the Environmental Protection Agency once they are licensed by the Guyana Gold Board. The office of the GGB has been relocated to Albert and Crown Street, Queenstown, after its Brickdam office had to be closed after high levels of mercury had been detected from the laboratory that emits mercury while burning gold bought from miners. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. The Elections Commission says the money allocated for this year's local government polls may be insufficient, and the Commission plans to engage the Finance Minister with a view to secure additional funds. But the Minister has given that proposition a thumbs down. Eugene Noel reports.
The Guyana Elections Commission pointed out in a statement last Friday that the amount of money currently allocated for the conduct of the 2018 local government elections is believed to be insufficient, and that the Commission will be engaging the Ministry of Finance to discuss supplemental provisions. But that proposition has struck a wrong chord in the ears of Finance Minister Winston Jordan, who says the government's cup is not really filled and running over.
We have enough challenges fiscally at the moment, not least of which is that we must find the money to pay the second half of the severance, and you know of all the other issues that we have. And the last thing we want is GCOM coming saying that they want more money. Trust me, every day I wake up, there is somebody who's calling and say they want more money, but we don't have a bottomless pit of money.
The Commission claims that its entire budget for this year is $2.9 billion. And from that amount, $1.2 billion was allocated for the conduct of local government elections, compared with $1.5 billion for similar elections 2 years ago, when goods and services had been less costly. But the word from the Finance Minister is cut and contrive.
Every time somebody comes to me to look for money, we have to cut somebody else's budget, because it's not as if we could find new monies. We can't go taxing people. We can't go borrowing more than we are under the budget required to do. And so, you know, and I think the discipline has to be done now, seeing that oil is coming, because everybody feels that, you know, oil is coming and therefore you can get involved in all these massive expenditure or debt and so on. Well, not under my stewardship.
The Elections Commission has been ridiculed in the past for wasteful spending. It does appear unlikely that this time around the money will be available for a repeat of that.
You have to make it do. You have to make it work. You can't be doing the same thing over and over again and expect to see improvement. Right? Lots of expenditure, I believe, are necessary, some of it wasteful, and so on. And all these things have to be taken into consideration. But like I said there, they have done back-to-back elections where billions of dollars have been given to GCOM. Those monies will be used to acquire infrastructure, consumables, many of which are still perhaps in those storage and so on. They need to make better use of monies.
Meanwhile, the Commission has labeled an accusation by the PPP that GCOM had rejected that party's request for an extension of the registration exercise as misleading and mischievous. GCOM said a subcommittee chaired by PPP Commissioner Cees Gonaraj had concluded that it would not be feasible to have an extension of the registration. For Nightly News, Eugene Noel.
Thank you, Eugene. On the police blotter, a cab driver alleges he was beaten inside a strip club by two policemen who owned the club. They thought he was going to snitch on them after he solicited girls from the club for his friends at an unusual hour. Here are the details. Police investigators have taken a detailed statement from a cab driver, Perry Barker, who alleges that he was beaten by an assistant superintendent of police who is stationed at an East Bank police station and another rank stationed at the Brickdam police station because they thought he was going to snitch on them. Investigators heard that the two policemen operate an illegal strip club on the second flat of this building at Diamond. On the day in question, Barker said that he was contacted by a few friends who wanted a few girls from the illegal strip club to party. He alleges that he then contacted the two policemen who run the club to have the girls on standby. Barker said when his friends got to the club, he was locked inside a room by one of the policemen, accused of trying to set them up, then beaten.
I called Chris, and Chris didn't...
Who's Chris?
Chris is a police officer in charge of the strip club. Yes. Strip, after I called Chris Chris did not answer his phone. I drove back and go to the barman. The barman called these girls, notify them, and tell them the driver is coming back to them. Yeah, all know his business. This man come to do business. I go back, and I pick up the 6 girls. When I drove and come to G3 building at the strip club, I go upstairs to collect my payment for the drop. When I go upstairs, Chris touched me and tell me, come Lee, tell me this thing. I go in, he came into the toilet. He locked the toilet door. So after when he turned the toilet lock now, and I go and push me on, he pushed back his hand. So I feel I was safe. I open back the latch, and he starts speaking to me. The next guy walk in the toilet, he send the guy out. After, about 2 minutes after, Chris started beating me after sing, and the next officer, police one, come into the club.
Barker spoke of how he managed to escape the hands of the officers who were pounding on him.
Third time when I peep, I see guy open bigger door. So this is the time I take the chance and rush him. And when I rush him, he hold my jersey, and me and he start to tumble, and then sing, and Chris start come running. So I pull it, and he throw me body off the step. I fall on the step, he lose me, and I fall on the step. When I run outside, see a police van, ask for rescue, ask for help. Then find them gun at me. I run away, and I end up in a me boss man toilet.
The cab driver said he could not have made a report of the beating to the very police station where the ASP is stationed, but instead made the report to the Rijnveld police station, but has not gotten any action on the matter. Why did the 2 policemen beat you?
Them think I setting up the club. Them think I is a spy. Because illegal something that was doing, and all the time I didn't know was that.
How long you've been working with these 2 policemen at this illegal strip club?
Close to 4 months, I was transporting girls from the club to home, from home to there.
Nightly News has not been able to ascertain whether the foreign nationals who work at the strip club are legal in the country. They are housed at these 2 properties in Diamond, which is frequented by the 2 policemen at the center of the allegation.
But I fear for my life. Yes. Very fear for my life. Up to last night I was home, I was fear. Yeah, because everybody know that I call my phone, it didn't get into to them. And I end up get you to my brother, and I gaff right out till I come out of the scheme.
Barker said he wants the hierarchy of the Guyana police force to deal condignly with the officers and that they must be held accountable for what they did to him. Contacted on Monday, a source indicated that the officers have been called in and that the matter is before acting top cop David Ramnarine. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Any victim of TIP in Guyana automatically becomes the responsibility of the state, regardless if that victim is a foreigner or not. The government's role is to ensure repatriation after investigations are completed. Kristen Mappingham reports.
Whether a victim of trafficking in persons is of Guyanese nationality or not, that person is still a victim of a crime and deserves justice. If that person is a native of another country, then that person would need to return home, and that's the responsibility of the state, says head of the Social Protection Ministry's counter-TIP unit, Tanisha Williams-Corbin.
The fact is that there are some people that don't live in Guyana that were brought in. Who takes care of sending them back home financially?
Okay, great. So the Combating Trafficking in Persons Act does not discriminate. As long as a person has been identified as a victim in Guyana, as long as that person would have been identified as a person who would have been exploited, whether it's labor, prostitution of another, forced begging, forced labor, whatever the case is, it is the government of Guyana's responsibility to take care of that person.
Ms. Williams-Corbin stated that her unit works closely with the International Organization for Migration, and through this organization and other efforts by the government of Guyana, many non-Guyanese victims of TIP have been repatriated already. She says that based on recommendations from the U.S., there will be more infrastructural developments implemented in Guyana to do more for TIP victims of all ages.
Can you tell me a little bit more about recommendations from the U.S. 2017 reports?
The Honorable Minister Ali identified another space that can be used as another transitional shelter, which is also outside of the capital. So we are very excited for this. And this space that we're talking about can hold at minimum 40 persons. It has the capacity to hold more persons.
The counter-TIP unit's head added that the government has already embarked upon having more safe houses that can safely and comfortably accommodate victims when they are found.
And when we speak about a transitional space in this sense, we're talking about a space that we're going to be using to accommodate persons as they're rescued by the police and other agencies who are involved in raids. Because we have found that there is need for that. We would have had, some issues in the past, and so we're working to fix that by having this transitional space.
Reporting for HGP.
The upbringing of their children, Eugene Noel has the story.
The government is stepping in tangibly to help provide human resource development from the cradle. It's another significant step in child care development at a time when the family and the extended family no longer wholly play their traditional pivotal roles in the socialization of children. Last Saturday, the Anna Katerina Childhood Development Center was commissioned at Lenora. It's a spacious building that will cater for the care of 4 to 5 children under the age of 5. Finance Minister Winston Jordan explained the idea behind the venture.
So this project itself was conceived with 2 goals in mind: to create comprehensive learning spaces for children of the community from infancy to the age of 5, and secondly, to train and generate job opportunities for youth. The aim is to address early childhood development services in Anna Katerina and surrounding communities, while also providing unemployed young people with a chance to be trained and subsequently employed as early childhood caregivers and educators.
The authorities have recognized a missing link in the proper socialization of Guyanese children. Dedicated social workers will now fill that gap. Here is how it will help working parents and parents who aspire to higher education.
Is that now it will allow parents to comfortably go off to earn a living, knowing that their children are being cared for in a structured and friendly environment. So we are not only providing the learning spaces, but we want to provide the opportunities for the parents to be at ease. We want to provide the opportunity for households to earn income so that they too can enjoy the good life.
The $36.5 million toddlers facility is the result of a collaborative undertaking by the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Youth Empowerment, the Board of Industrial Training, and the Early Childhood Development Unit in the Ministry of Social Protection. Finance Minister Winston Jordan explained why he is keen to eke out the money for the construction of similar facilities countrywide.
We're trying to make sure that children from 0 to 5 get the kind of attention, the kind of care, and they are exposed to the kind of early education that will feed their minds, and that they will grow up to be excellent daughters and sons of the soil, so that they can contribute in a meaningful way to the development of Guyana.
The concept of the Early Childhood Development Center is a vast improvement of the traditional kindergarten. It was built with classrooms, a sleeping area, a sick bay, a staff room, an administrative area, storage spaces, a kitchenette, a laundry room, sanitary facilities, and outdoor play area for the children, and it is located a stone's throw away from the Lenora Cottage Hospital. It also provides employment for at least 8 specially trained young people. For Nightly News, Eugene Noel.
Thank you, Eugene. You'll hear now that a 2-day local content forum has been launched by the University of Guyana through its School of Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation, geared at pursuing ways to increase local content to facilitate knowledge. Kristen Macklingam reports.
Developing countries such as Guyana, with major discoveries of valuable resources, have an opportunity to harness their oil and gas resources for economic development by enacting policies that are not only pro-development, but also designed to provide the basis for knowledge transfer. That's the word from UG's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ivelaw Griffith.
Professor Griffith, could you please tell me how this forum is going to be beneficial for the University of Guyana and students as well as potential students?
For me, it is not so much what's the benefit to the university, but how the university enables Guyanese to be benefiting. We made this a forum that is free of cost. We made this a forum that is open to all and sundry. And so my expectation is that people who are interested would use the opportunity of being here, broadening their education horizon.
He says that such a forum is intended not only to enhance the productivity and expansion of one particular workforce, but that the knowledge that is transferred can be done so continuously and potentially strengthen the country's entire workforce.
I anticipate several other things will come out of this forum. I don't want to announce what they will be, but I'm asking Guyanese, it is in your self-interest. If you got an event like this, participate. Come to it. We're here to serve the nation.
Meanwhile, Dean of the School of Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation, SEBI, Dr. Leland Lucas, reiterated the importance of local content in relation to the emergence of the oil and gas industry.
Dr. Lucas, could you please tell me what this local content forum is about and what you hope to achieve at the end of it?
The question remains, what is local content? And that has to do with the extent to which the whole country will benefit, not just companies that are involved directly with the oil and gas sector, but also companies and individuals throughout the country. To what extent local content can influence the transfer of skills and capabilities. We must bear in mind that the country is committed to a green development strategy. And so to what extent we can learn things and acquire certain competencies and capabilities from the brown sector and utilize them effectively in the green sector.
Dr. Lucas added that one also has to bear in mind that there are some social issues and social challenges that accompany oil and gas, and the forum addresses the extent to which local content policy can influence the resolution of such matters.
It's very important for us to understand that when we talk about local content, we're talking about having an impact on the nation as a whole. It's about influencing what happens in the villages, it's what happens in the cities, it's what happens in the towns. In essence, the extent to which such policies can transform the lives of Guyanese as a whole.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Thanks for staying tuned. I'm Colwyn Abrams with the HGP Sportscast. Charlestown Secondary Girls and Chase Academy Boys are the inaugural ExxonMobil Under-14 School Football Tournament champions. Both teams swept their opponents under the rug on Saturday at the Ministry of Education ground, Carafesta Avenue. Stanford Howard was there and filed this report.
After 7 weeks of competition for the boys and 5 weeks of competition for the girls were the first to take the field in their final match of the tournament. The matchup was between Charlestown Secondary and East Ruimveldt Secondary. Charlestown Secondary had better control of the ball with more possession and passing around the field, which resulted in an 8-minute goal by Shania Easton. On the stroke of halftime, Donna Lowe in the 25th minute added to her team's lead. In the second half, the girls from East brought the pressure on to Charlestown with a few good shots, but failed to penetrate the target. Shania Easton, with a double in the 40th minute, hit the nail on the head to secure a 3-0 win. Keeper Donna Lowe, who was filled with excitement, spoke to the media after her team's victory.
We are 100% happy that we won the game. Played well, they cooperate well, and so forth. But it was a problem with the passing and so forth.
The boys' match was no less action-packed as the girls' match. It was Multi against Chase Academy. Chase got things going when Devon Padmore in the 2nd minute of play got over the keeper's head, followed by Ceylon Sue in the 6th minute. Multi Orlando Dickey put his team on the score sheet in the 18th minute when he netted one for his side. But a few minutes later, Jalil Al-Sadar of Chase netted in the 23rd minute to give Chase a 3-1 lead going into the second half. In the second half, the boys from Multi tried to stage a comeback, but were unable to penetrate the defense of Chase as they conceded 3 more goals from Ronaldo Abrams in the 36th minute, Shaquille Liverpool in the 41st minute, and Kevin Mullen in the 48th minute to give Chase Academy a landslide victory, 6-1. The inaugural tournament has seen a total of 263 goals, with Tyrese Dennis of Buxton Youth Developers netting a total 16 goals. Meanwhile, Donna Lowe of Charleston Secondary with 4 goals was the leading girls' goal scorer. The winner of the tournament received a prize of $300,000 to go towards a project the school identifies. Second place received $200,000, third place $100,000, and fourth place $50,000.
Over 80 students from the West Demerara Secondary School participated in the Digital Youth Series at Borda, where they learned from Devendra Bishu, among other coaches. The West Demerara Secondary were the winners of the Ghana leg of the Digital Youth Cricket Series. Students from schools across the country participated for a chance to have a day of fun and learning from the CPL coaches and players. The young players went through a number of bowling, batting, fielding and other drills with coaches in an effort to improve their performance on and off the field of play. Devendra Bishu of the Ghana Amazon Warriors spoke with the young players on what it takes to be an exceptional player.
Everybody can be equal, right? Everybody not going to be equal. If everybody doing the same thing every day, it's a little thing you do different. It's a morning time when you get up and run. It's a little extra bowling you got to do. It's a little extra batting. That does make you different. And you have two types of cricketers. One who's talented and one who got to work hard. But imagine if you're talented and you work hard. That is be like man like Kohli them and Steve Smith and them. You know, like Sachin Lara. It's different, but the whole thing what I'm trying to get to you guys, hard work always pays off.
Bishu said he was honored to have been asked to help develop other young cricketers and that players must be developed from the grassroots stages. He said that he too needed this kind of event in his early stages.
Because one day I was like them and I never used to reach too much of West Indies players, and being here with them, and I know they feel a little bit different and they are happy that I am here. So I would like to say thanks to Digital and CPL for this.
Digital Communication Officer Vidya Sanichara said the company is delighted to have helped the young players further develop their skills.
Yes, this afternoon's event is a culmination of our Digital Youth Cricket Series, which includes our CPL brand as well as Digital, coming together to bring community and cricket together and youth. And we know that cricket is something that does that. It brings the community and the youth together, both internationally, regionally, and at the community level. This is our grassroots way of giving back, and the students who are here today, they voted in our Phase 1 Digital Youth Cricket Series for their school to get a chance to take part in the coaching clinic today and to meet our brand ambassador, Devendra Bishu. So this is just our way of cementing our place with cricket, youth and development, and saying that we're around for a while as it relates to cricket and CPL.
Not much people just get these chance to cheer in with coaches from the team that they're backing for the CPL Warriors. Firstly, I would like to say that so far that what we have been doing is definitely enhancing some of the skills that I thought I had mastered already. But as you go along, you really notice that even though you might reach a certain level, there's always a next step in the journey.
Colin Abrams reporting for the HGP Sports. FIFA and the Ghana Football Federation concluded a 2-day training program to educate the federation's administration, regional member associations, and clubs on Ghana adopting FIFA's domestic transfer matching system. The GFF has become the first member association of the CONCACAF region to adopt the domestic transfer matching system, DTMS, according to FIFA's DTMS project coordinator, Samira Jawdat.
Today, it's not only a training on using the system or on exercising and on giving you compliance advice. Today, it's also, as Mr. Ford mentioned, a new chapter for the Guyana Football Federation and its affiliated clubs and regional associations.
According to FIFA, the DTMS is the national version of the International Transfer Matching System, ITMS. With DTMS, the federation and its clubs have the ability to manage and monitor their domestic transfer activity, generate statistics and reports, speed up the transfer process, and store required documents online safely. As an extension of the ITMS, the system allows the federation to process international and domestic transfers in one place. The aim of the program is to foster transparency and equity during the transfer season and to level the playing field so that transfers are fair. Participants learn to use the system by doing theoretical and practical sessions throughout the 2 days. The first day of the workshop catered for the GFF Secretariat staff and regional association representatives who interfaced with the system, while the second day targeted representatives from the clubs. GFF President Wayne Ford urged the participants to take in as much as they could within the 2 days, as this was another way to further develop football in Guyana. Colwyn Abrams reporting for the HGP Sport.